welcome to the Mash In, our North Texas beer podcast, sponsored by Harvest Seasonal Kitchen in downtown McKinney, Harvest's first brew pub. We're veering off beer a little bit today. We got here with Robert and Jonathan Likarish, the head distillers and founders of Ironroot Republic Distillery in Denison, Texas. Hello, guys.
How's it going?
It's going fantastic. I haven't had anything to drink before this podcast started here at the distillery, so everything should go swimmingly. Neither have these guys. They've been working really hard and just drinking a lot of water and getting our palates ready.
That's right.
So let's start off. Why don't you guys tell us a little bit about yourselves and what you do here at the distillery and kind of what your roles are and how it all got started.
All right. Well, I'm Jonathan. I'm the older brother. So
you get to speak first.
That's right. I figured I was next to you. That was what gave me that ability.
Either way.
So I'm the head distiller here. I'm engineer by trade, so it kind of works real well with what I've done in the past. That's my job.
Awesome.
I'm Robert Likarish. I'm the younger brother, which there's two of us, so it's kind of self-explanatory
also
on that.
The youngest as well.
Also the youngest. I'm distiller person out in the market doing sales, bathroom cleaner sometimes. I mean, we do a little bit of everything around here. We got a 4-person team, so we all do a little bit of everything. Pretty much anything that Jonathan needs help with, that's what I'm there for. So, but by trade, I actually went to law school and graduated from law school. And instead of taking the bar exam, I went and started working for distilleries. So here we are.
So who first kind of caught the bug? Who was the first one to like kind of come home and be like, I've got a batch in the garage going?
It actually first started when we visited a small distillery up in Spokane, Washington.
Okay.
We were up there visiting some family, wandered into a distillery that happened to be next door to a Thai place. And we've been in the copper business for a long time, our family, and so when we walked in and saw shiny copper, we knew that was it. So Robert and I kind of made a pact right then and there that we would eventually start a distillery, maybe when we retired. Retirement came a little bit early for us, I guess. So
my law career did not last very long. I graduated and then immediately we started working on this project. In fact, November before I graduated in May is when Jonathan and I sat down and had the conversation. And I was like, I don't really want to be a lawyer. And he's like, do you think we should start the distillery now? And our dad said, screw it, do it now. So you're young, you can work long hours and still do it. You know, why wait till you're 65 years old to work 80-hour work week? So we decided to jump in and take the dive.
Nice. So how long ago was that?
That was 2011 is when we made the decision to start working on this. So it's been a wild ride over the last kind of 7 years.
So from inspiration in Spokane, Washington, to dad saying, do it now while you're young, which is smart advice.
A decade.
How long till you opened the doors?
It was 2008 is when we visited, 2008, 2009 is when we visited Spokane. So we opened our doors officially in 2014, the end of 2014. Our very first barrel was laid down
August 18th, 2014.
Which is his daughter's 3rd birthday, which is why.
Very nice.
So
very cool. That's why you never forget it. Yeah. All my passwords are my kids' birthdays.
It's true.
It's good, man. You gotta remember when you have 3. When you
get hacked, you're gonna know why now.
Yeah. It's all right. It's all good. So cool. So you guys open up, and what brought you guys to Denison?
So Jonathan, when we started, Jonathan's wife, Jessica, said, I don't care if you go on this crazy adventure, but if you're doing it, we're going to be doing it in Texas. She's born and bred Texas. Jonathan's born and raised Texas. I was not born here, but I got here as quickly as I could, but spent most of my life in Texas. So Texas for us was really home. And so we looked at the landscape back in 2011 of kind of what distilleries are open and where. And really, there was only a handful, and most of them were down in the Austin area. So we said, we want to go in a completely different direction than that. So we started kind of adventuring around Dallas-Fort Worth area. I went to Austin College over in Sherman, and while we were looking for a place to be, one of my old professors called me up and goes, hey, Denison has this really cool connection with cognac. You should probably check out Denison. They're really open. Ended up coming up to Denison. They were a wet city, which since then a bunch of Plano, a lot of the areas of Sherman have all become wet now. But back then there wasn't a whole lot of wet towns around Dallas, and a lot of the small towns we would go to didn't want our type of business there. They thought liquor would bring shady scoundrels to the area.
Sure.
So Denison was wide open. We walked in, talked to the economic advisors in downtown Denison, and the response was like, we don't really want you here. You have to be way outside of town. Their reaction was, oh, where can we put you? We want you here. What can we do to get you here? So that was a great, oh, wow, all right, this is exciting. And then, lo and behold, Denison is sister cities with Cognac. And Jonathan and I, coming from a French distilling kind of background of who trained us, it made perfect sense for us to be here to do kind of what our vision was, which was to use a lot of traditional techniques and use them on new and exciting types of spirits, as far as whiskeys and brandies. And so it's kind of a match made in heaven for us to be here.
Awesome. So what is you guys' background a little bit? You talked about going to work for some distilleries right after. Mm-hmm. Did both of you guys go down that path, kind of get some training, or did you just kind of dive in?
We did training in a couple different facilities. We actually went back to that original distillery we first kind of fell in love with distilling at, Dry Fly up in Spokane. Went back there and did some training there. Then we've done some other trainings. We've done a lot of hands-on kind of personal training, call it.
Sure.
And a lot of reading.
Yeah.
Lots of reading.
Yeah.
Spent some time down in Waco, and then I did some training on the West Coast with some of the brandy distillers out there, and then did a little thing in Chicago with some of the guys up there as well.
So that's why you spent some time at Balcones. Is that the one in Waco that you guys
right,
have pretty good ties with those
yeah,
guys?
we're very close with the crew down there and the original founder down there. He was our first major consultant, which was great and a lot of help. And again, it got us a lot of hands-on commercial experience right off the bat, which was really important for us to kind of have a better idea of what we're doing than trying to come from a moonshining background or just like homebrewing background. Really having some hands-on commercial experience was really important.
Did you guys brew a garage batch before you opened up?
That would be illegal, Toby. I don't know what you're talking
about. Some test batches.
I can tell you about a cool game that you can play, though.
Okay, good. So, I'm ready.
Let's say you ran a test batch in your garage. The cooler that you have full of ice that you use for condensing water, then what you do is you fill that full of craft beer. You throw some beers in there that people do not like. Okay, throw them in there.
Make sure they're skunked beers.
Yeah, skunked beers. And so that cooler basically will freeze over on the top almost. And so the game we would play is you have to reach in there and you get to grab a beer. So the trick is it's so cold in there that you don't want to stay around in there and try and feel and figure out what's in there. So you basically have to drink whatever you pull out first. So
you couldn't see because it was like iced over, so you couldn't see what you're reaching for. So you blindly grab beer.
And it could be enjoyable,
or it was hysterical
because you had to drink whatever you pulled out. And
so Jeremy from 903 used to play with me down there.
So you and Jeremy would do this
theoretically.
What was the most dreaded beer to play? Or to pull?
Skunked Corona that had been sitting out in the sun for long periods of time. It was probably like 3-year-old Corona that had been sitting in the sunlight for.
That's a tough draw.
Yeah,
that's a tough draw.
Yeah. Jeremy's favorite thing was to go sneak my good beer, whatever I had laying down for like a year or something delicious, and then he would throw that in there. So when I pull it out, or he'd pull it out and act really surprised. Oh, how did this get here?
How did this happen? Mm-hmm. So Jeremy, we interviewed Jeremy a while back, and he said that you guys just happen to live across the street from each other. So Jeremy's the head brewer and founder of 903, for those of you that don't know. And I just thought it was crazy that he moved out to Pottsboro, and then there's a guy across the street from him that wants to open up a distillery.
Yeah, I was basically moving in, and this guy kind of wandered across the street, looked at me, and it said, "Hi, my name's Jeremy. What do you do?" And I was like, "Oh, well, I'm starting a distillery." And he goes, "Well, I'm going to start a brewery." And after that, we... couple weeks later, I think our wives had to tell us that drinking beer at 3 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday night was not okay.
That was not R&D.
Yeah, that was not okay. They sat us down individually and told us. So,
it's good. It's good. It's a two-pronged attack.
Yeah.
Sometimes that happens. So cool. So you guys are 4 years in now. Okay. So what was first opening up? I feel like a lot much different than brewing. It's like when you open up a brewery, man, you can have product hit the market pretty quickly. What was that like for you? What was y'all's plan going in? Do we have to start getting some ROI here, start getting some return on investment?
We took the tougher path in our industry, whereas most places are going to source spirit at the very beginning, or they might release a vodka that they're sourcing in. They might distill it again, but it's already essentially pre-made vodka made up in the
They just
Midwest.
get the juice and bottle it.
Yeah. Or on the whiskey side, a lot of the Texas whiskeys are just pre-bottled Kentucky or Indiana whiskey, which is by far the easiest way to do this business, is to have product ready to rock and roll. But Jonathan and I, again, coming from that French background, we kind of got it drilled into us that that when you put your name and your label on something, that it should have the flavor of the area that you're from. So we made a commitment from the very beginning that we wanted to make sure that whatever we put out, the vast majority of that grain came from our local area. And that's why to this day, 95% of the grain we use comes from within 60 miles of the distillery. And we're really committed to that. As well as, we do explore heirloom grains and stuff like that, but our main commitment is to work with our local farmers here because they really are a wonderful resource. And again, we're in the middle of a beautiful farming area, and it's why not use it? So for us, that was a commitment that we made, and we wanted to make sure that whatever we made reflected the flavor of our local community. Again, it's that French notion of terroir, that flavor of the land. It's that the soil, the climate, and the people, and those are the three things that go into it. And that, to me, if we were going to release a whiskey or anything that had our name on it, that's what it should be. So
can't really fake that.
No.
There's a lot of the older I've gotten and been around and talked to, distillers or whatever. There's so much. I don't want to say fraud, but there's so much misleading things in the spirits world. And I find it, you have kind of the deck stacked against you in a number of ways. Mm-hmm. But in the end, I think it's a payoff, but it's, do you have enough cash flow and money to maintain those years of waiting for it to pay off? But it's a real build for the future. So, I guess the question there would be, what's, in your mind, are you just going into this thing like, hey man, we're not trying to bottle a bunch of stuff and sell it off to one of the big guys, and we're kind of this is what our family is going to do,
right? Like Jonathan, again, I think the vision, you would hope that your kids would work here one day. And it's funny, his daughter told her, back a couple of years ago, told her kindergarten or preschool teacher what she was going to do when she grew up was she was going to manage the barrel room.
She still wants to do that.
Yeah.
That's
awesome.
She was in there diagramming it the other day.
It's great.
So it's for me, that kind of really warms my heart because, again, it's, as we were talking earlier when we were tasting brandy, that notion that a lot of times some of the stuff that you're making, it isn't for you, it's for the next generation. And to us, that's really what we would like to do. Now, sometimes the weather in Texas is a little bit faster than I'd like it to be, but I think a lot of our efforts are trying to make stuff so that 15 years down the line we might have something for that she could play with or do, or at least remnants of some of the stuff that we were doing early on will be something that she can put out in the future.
It by far takes more than 1 to 2 generations to master, which is the advantage of obviously Europe and France,
Kentucky,
and Kentucky, right? Not a whole lot of that in Denison, right? Generations of master distillers and brewing, but obviously there's something to the terroir, right? There's something to the area here, which we haven't really talked about, which is, why don't you guys tell the story of where you got your name from, and kind of TV Munson and that angle that you guys kind of take.
Yeah, sure. So TV Munson is kind of a famous American viticulturist that lived in Denison in the late 1800s, early 1900s, and his big goal was trying to figure out how to grow European grapes here in the United States. We've got a lot of diseases here in the U.S., it's the different rots and phylloxera and all sorts of stuff that they would plant the European grapes, and then after 3 to 5 years, that something would get them and the grapes would die before they could ever start really producing really high quality. And so he discovered that there are some of the native grapes here in Texas are highly resistant to drought and a lot of these diseases because they've built immunities over the so many generations of being here in the United States. And again, through that process, he found one that's again from Texas that's resistant specifically to something called phylloxera, which is like a little mite, kind of burrows into grape roots and kind of kills grapes. Around that same time period that he was doing all this research, phylloxera accidentally got transferred from the United States over to Europe, and it went to town on the European grapes. It wiped out over 80% of the French grapes. The only areas that really survived were ones with a little bit more sandy soil because the phylloxera couldn't really crawl through it. So Cognac was completely wiped out. Bordeaux got hit really hard. There was a lot of loss on the French side. And so they sent out basically scientists around the world to try to figure out a solution for this problem, because this was several of these, livelihood of a lot of these French farmers for, generations. And so after trying, number of trials and errors with different American rootstock, they finally came to Toby Munson and this grape from Texas. And so they were able to graft a lot of the grapes that were specific to France with the Texas grape roots, and they were able to start regrowing them. So, like Faux Blanche and some of the classic Cognac varietals were able to start being grown again, whereas before they wouldn't have been able to. So, he's credited with helping save the French wine industry and Cognac specifically. For that reason, he was awarded the French Legion of Honor for agriculture. For the French Legion of Honor, there have been 6 Americans ever named to it. You've got 3 that stopped a terrorist attack a couple of years ago on a train. Before that, there were 3. There was Toby Munson, there was Thomas Edison, for obvious reasons, and then Dwight Eisenhower, who was also born in Denison, Texas. So you've kind of got this really cool connection with France and with Cognac specifically. For all this reason, Cognac is actually sister cities with Denison. So again, coming from that French background and especially being taught by Cognac distillers, it made sense for us to be here and kind of set our roots here. And so the iron grape roots from Texas, the ones that saved the French wine industry, is where we kind of take our name. And that's why we make a little bit of grape brandy every year in homage to that.
So you guys had a chance to go to Cognac, France.
I did. Unfortunately, Jonathan got...
You the big brother got left out?
He got left out. Someone had to make all the whiskey. Yes.
Somebody had to make the whiskey.
Yeah, so I got to go make Cognac, and he stayed and made whiskey.
You talked to me a little bit about going there and how it's, getting the Cognac and Armagnac and all those things from there. It's a very, like you said, they're distilling things and brewing things that generations aren't going to have for a really long time, but it seems to be the same approach here.
Yeah.
And sort of your culture and everything like that. So I guess going back to what is, a lot of brewers and stuff that I've talked to talked about the impatience of the entrepreneur, right? So you've got your business and it's so, tempting to, push and do all these things. And what you guys are doing is a very slow, long process. Mm-hmm. And you can certainly guesstimate how things are going to turn out, but you can't guarantee. What is sort of the biggest challenges of, have you had a project that's been 3 to 4 years in the making and you're like, sucks, should not have done this, this was stupid?
We haven't had that issue yet, have we?
No, I don't think we've had anything that we have been like, oh my god, this is terrible. We've definitely had some that are better than others.
Sure.
Like the purple corn experiment turned out phenomenal and has become core of what we do. But every year, Jonathan runs a number of experiments. He's kind of a corn nerd. I know he doesn't look like it by looking at him. But he'll get the seed magazines, and actually we'll open up to the corn sections and start looking through different varietals of corn that they're talking about and looking at flavor profiles. And again, it's like, oh, I want to try that one, and I want to try this one, and so I have to limit him a little bit on what, like, well, okay, let's do 3 or 4 experiments this year. Let's not do 30. And so they've really led to some really cool things. I mean, what's been some of your favorite stuff over the last year or two?
The purple corn's been the most successful. One of my other favorites, though, is going to be the Flint corn.
Yeah, the Floriani.
So the Flint corn, it's kind of on the whiskey side, it's a little bit nerdier profile.
What do you mean by that?
The people who are really into whiskey kind of get it and understand it. It's going to have kind of a dark chocolate Mexican spice to it, so it'll have a little extra heat, but it's all in the flavor profile, not so much in the alcohol. So some people, if they drink whiskey and it has a little bit of bite to it, they're out.
Sure.
But some of the guys who are a little bit heavier into it, if it's got a little bit of bite to it, they kind of like it. So
yeah, anything sort of different, right? Once you've had a bunch of them, you're always kind of looking for that next thing, chef's palate, right? That's what we all call for. You're like looking for that
next flavor.
That next flavor. So what corns do we have here? You got a couple of jars here, and you mentioned earlier that you said that 90% of your grain and corn comes from within 60 miles. That's amazing.
So
these two don't.
Well,
Okay.
this one will.
Hopefully this year we'll get it.
We finally got a farmer to grow this for us this year.
So yeah, this one is the purple corn he was talking about.
Okay.
So this originated in the Andes Mountains.
Okay.
So originally a kind of a cold weather corn. This comes out of like Minnesota now for us, but so super high in antioxidants. By the time we get done with them, I don't think they're still there.
Right.
But if you're gonna make tortilla chips out of it, you're in good shape, right? So, so this has kind of dark, kind of some darker fruit, but also some of those baking spice notes to it. Awesome. So cinnamon, clove, those type of flavors. So we really like this, and we really pair this specifically with our cooperage and Beck. So we've got, I don't think we mentioned this yet. So we have a couple of different types of oak that we use.
Okay.
We really like the way this one goes with European oak. So.
And the other one we have over here is going to be the Bloody Butcher corn. You can see it's a bright red corn. It was one of the first hybrids in the U.S., to my understanding, over in Appalachia is really kind of where it started out. So and this can have a little bit more dark berry notes to it. Was a hybrid between the kind of the French or the Indian red corns and some of the yellow dent corn. So it's a red dent corn, but it's got a little bit more bright berry character to it.
It tends to be a little sweeter than this one.
Yeah, and so we fell in love with this one. Well, the first batch we ever did, this is actually the first one was grown by my mother in her backyard. She actually plowed an entire area of her backyard
Marsha?
to grow.
Plowing.
Yeah, it was plowing, and grew. It wasn't a whole lot of it, but
we got 50 pounds of seed.
50 pounds of seed. So we got enough to do our very first test batch with it.
That's awesome.
And so she hand shucked it, and she would go back there every day and pull worms and do the whole thing by hand. And so this one has kind of a special place in our heart because the very first batch was grown by our mom. After that, we had a farmer over in Missouri grow it for us for a couple of years. He was
he lived in Amish country, but he wasn't Amish.
He wasn't Amish, but he used a horse and plow to plow the fields and everything. Like he's a crazy guy. But we finally found a farmer here just down in Van Alstyne that's going to be growing this year's crop for us. So we're really excited to see how this newest batch is going to turn out for us this year. Those are two of the main different corns that we use. Again, that Flint corn that Jonathan was talking about earlier become a primary corn as well. And one of my favorites that I think, and we're going to try to also get enough local farmers to start growing for us, I think the Magic Manna corn has turned out really well. So I think that's going to be our next kind of, hey to our farmer friends to grow us a little bit. So I think that's on the path.
What was the path of kind of breaking into that the local farmer world? You were just kind of like cold calling. Hey man, this is what we need. This is kind of how did that work out? Sorry.
So I'll let Jonathan talk a little bit more to this, but it actually comes from Jonathan. One of the best men in Jonathan's wedding owns a mill over in Munster. He sources all of his grain locally. obviously because he's a mill. And so we'll talk a little bit more about
so in some situations we go through the mill and he acts as the buyer and he'll buy from local grain producers. In other situations, like with the Bloody Butcher, we'll go direct to farmers. A lot of times they'll find us. So,
well, through the different events we've done with you in the past, the Farmer Connection, just going down and sitting and sharing a meal with people, is sometimes things come together. Like the unmalted barley we just got was because of you. That's going to be Texas grown barley, which is really exciting for us. So.
Yeah, it's awesome. So they just had a farmer, Eric Herms, from All Red Farms, and I bought some some raw wheat from him as well. But he's been growing barley and using it kind of as a rotational crop in between cotton and corn. Really cool operation, man, that those guys have going on. Guy doesn't water anything. Yeah. It's all natural irrigation, which is just nuts. I feel like in Texas, just completely insane. But anyways, they just dropped off grains for you guys and for us at Harvest as well, and that should be a lot of fun to go down that path with those guys.
Yeah, I mean, it was really exciting talking to him because he was growing it hopefully to turn it into some malted barley, but it didn't quite hit spec of what you need for malted barley. And he was talking like he was looking for another outlet for that barley, and lo and behold, Irish style whiskeys, which we're going to be starting to distill here, use a portion of the mash bill as unmalted barley. So it was kind of a match made in heaven on that we were getting ready to do a project, and he kind of wandered in, and it's it's one of those things that it's great when great minds come together.
So you guys have the Texas brandy coming down the pipelines at some point. You have Texas Irish whiskey coming down the pipelines. You have vodka, you have gin, you have bourbon, you have corn whiskey.
Single malt.
I've been studying really hard on rum lately, so...
I saw your board back there.
Yeah.
There was a lot of rum notes in there.
A few.
There was a lot of rum notes and your name written underneath them with some opinions.
Yeah. That's right, yeah. I've got lots of those.
Yeah, I'm sure. We all do, right? That's what we do.
Some eau de vies and some peach and blackberry stuff. I think with Mag we'll be working on. It's going to be pretty exciting to do some small batch stuff from them. Again, using local fruit, which is really exciting. We got you got Icarus coming up too, which has kind of been the project we've been really working on for the last 2.5 years now. So it'll be our first kind of 4-year-old whiskey probably that gets released. So
really quickly, tell me a little bit more, if you guys want to talk about it, your plans on peach and blackberry, and then I want to talk about the Icarus after that. Yeah. So tell us kind of how you incorporate that, and what does it look like? What kind of traditions and styles is that from?
So eau de vie is a really popular style of spirit from Europe, where a lot of times they'll do unaged brandies. For us, we're looking at doing possibly some aging with it. Again, I think there'll probably be some unaged. There'll be some aged, especially on the peach side probably. I don't know. I've never had an aged blackberry brandy, so who knows what we'll end up doing with that.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it.
See what happens.
Maybe a combo of a couple different fruits together, doing something a little bit crazier. That's, again, we're always looking to try to push the boundary. We've got that, and then some ideas on some traditional French-style drinks called like Mistels that we could definitely be doing with that. Maybe some basically mix brandy with its juice and creating some basically it's like a fortified wine strength product that you barrel age as well. It should be a lot of fun. So again, we've got a lot of ideas, and it's going to be how much can we get and what we can do with it is really what's going to determine.
So would you guys essentially make peach and blackberry wine and then distill that down just completely, and then throw it in a barrel and see what happens?
Why not?
Then drink it.
Yeah. That's right.
That sounds awesome. I don't like to invite myself to a lot of things. But I want to invite myself. I'll bring food and beer.
Yeah, come up when we're distilling.
So talk to us about Icarus. Kind of what does that release look like? How many versions have you guys had?
So this will be the first full batch of Icarus. We did a test batch a couple of years ago. So that we released last year. Again, there was when we do small batches, generally there's like 40 to 50 bottles. So there's not a whole lot of experiments when we do them, but we absolutely fell in love with it. And kind of the idea behind Icarus is And again, I guess I'll let Jonathan tell you his little story on it, because this really is his baby that he came up with.
Awesome.
So basically, we wanted to take corn whiskey, which has kind of become a little more popular on the Texas scene. In the big scheme of whiskey, it's really kind of the underdog in all the whiskey categories. You hear people kind of referring to it as corn liquor and things like that. So it's really kind of the pauper in the story here, and we wanted to kind of treat it like a prince. And so we started basically we would take aged corn whiskey, and then we would finish it in different barrels, like you would say a Scotch or something that would be kind of a real high-end whiskey product. And so what we did with Icarus is we actually did a combination of 2 different finishes. So the first we actually put into some barrels that had been in the Islay region of Scotland, so it picked up a lot of that kind of smoky peatiness. The other portion of the corn whiskey we actually finished in a tawny port cask. So it's going to pick up some of the kind of the fruity nuttiness out of that.
Wow.
And then we mix it together, and it comes off like really snooty barbecue at that point. So it's a really interesting blend for us to do. It is extremely difficult to do. We've been trying to blend and kind of get the blend right, adjusting it for the last 6 months. So
It's one of those things that, for us, again, I think my favorite thing about it's the name. Obviously the whiskey is probably my favorite thing, but
he likes Icarus because he came up.
With the name for it.
Okay, he came up.
So I got to talk about the name. So we joke. So Hubris is the whiskey that we kind of become most well known for. It's our purple corn whiskey aged in European oak. It's the one that won all the really big awards for us, and so that's why we wanted to kind of look at that and continuing to try to elevate the category of corn whiskey into something a little bit more than people's perception of it. So we joked that Hubris, because it was Hubris got so full of himself that he got too close to the sun and got burned.
Icarus.
So Icarus. So it became Icarus at that point. So that's why it's a little bit smoky and a little bit on that. So, but it's, to me, I think it's one of the most unique products that we have out right now. But again, when we did the very first release, it sold out day of that we put it out with 50 bottles. We had one group come up here, and next thing I know, we called all their friends, and everyone was up here, and it was gone. So it was once we knew that we had something, so we put it into full production. We've had 1 barrel of it already be pre-bought of the 6 barrels that we made. So we got five left, and we'll probably release a couple here. I'm gonna guess spring, early summer is my guess release time for the first time to kind of the wider public.
I haven't told my boss yet that I bought that barrel, so you kind of like let that fly. I didn't put that on the P&L.
Uh-oh.
So what's you got Icarus coming out? What's you got brandy and cognac working? What's next as far as you guys as a company? Like do you have your tap room open kind of once a month? Is that right? You guys got kind of any events lined up, that type of thing? Or
right now we're open the first Saturday of the month to the public for our cocktail lounge and Bloody Mary bar. So you come in, have drinks. We have a little local restaurant that comes and provides food. La Posita, they do like pupusas and that type of stuff.
Awesome.
And then we do a few private events during the course of the month as well. But the next really big event we have coming up on the 14th, February 14th, we've got a especially Valentine's cocktail dinner that's going to be happening here. And then after that, my favorite Bloody Mary bar of the year is our May Bloody Mary bar for the Kentucky Derby. We raise money for a local therapeutic riding center. And so they basically do therapy for kids with disabilities and veterans.
What's the name of it?
Divine Equine.
Divine Equine is the name of it. And they do, so they come in, they put a bunch of TVs around for the race. They kind of auction off, and especially auction off horses that people can bid on. There's a big hat contest. We do like mint juleps and the whole, everyone's having a good time, and it's a big crowd, and I don't know, it's just a really fun event. So
very cool.
Yeah.
In the long term, we actually purchased another building.
Okay.
Downtown Denison. And so we're looking at doing some barrel storage over there, and hopefully have the tasting room and eventually the cocktail lounge over there. And then at that point, we'll be able to run the cocktail lounge, 3 or 4 days a week. So because it won't be here in the production floor. So.
Right, yeah, you can't have it. It's actually illegal to have anyone in here whilst you're mashing. Is that right, or is it
distilling?
Period. Yeah. What is the one time? What's the one thing that happened where you guys were like, it just validated you guys taking this leap and jump? Like, did you win an award? When did you get some like kind of recognition? Is there? Are we still waiting on that? Still waiting on the validation.
I mean, for me, I'll let you do your own. But for me, it was when we won Hubris won Best Corn Whiskey in the World from Whiskey Magazine and San Francisco World Spirits Competition. So we had like three things that really hit us like all within a few months of each other. So those two, and then we won the like Texas Small Business of the Year, or one of the Small Businesses of the Year. All within a few months of each other, and it was just really exciting. And it was like, oh my gosh, we're doing something right. People really like it. They really like what we're doing, and it was, it's one of those things, especially when you take the leap and you try something different, like again doing purple corn stuff. Like we knew we liked it, but getting the feedback that other people really dig what you're doing is really, really rewarding.
I think for me, it's probably the Berry Brothers and Rudd project. So. Which I don't think we've talked about that.
No, we haven't. I was going to say, I saw Robert gave me a little bit of the background of that. Why don't you tell us about that? That was pretty cool.
So basically, it was pretty close to Christmas Eve a couple of years ago. I got an email on the info account, and he said it was from a company called Berry Brothers and Rudd, and they wanted us to send samples to them that they were interested in doing a project with the Texas distillery, and they were searching for a partner. I almost threw it in the trash because I thought it was going to be junk mail. But for some reason I was like, I'll send this to Robert and let him take care of it. So Robert ended up contacting him, and we ended up sending samples over there. And within, was it a day of the samples arriving? Mm-hmm. So pretty soon there was a gentleman with a Scottish accent that called on the house line here at the distillery. And so Robert was able to talk to him, and his name was Doug MacGyver. So Doug MacGyver is the master blender for Berry Brothers and Rudd. So awesome. Typically, he's blending 30-plus-year-old scotches for them, or 40-plus-year-old brandies. And so he said that he liked the samples we'd sent him, which we thought was hysterical because the samples we sent him were probably 14 months old at the time, out of the back. And he said that he was interested in doing a project with us, and they were going to call it Texas Legation. The reason they wanted to call it Texas Legation was because when Texas was a country, it had an embassy in London, but it was pretty far away from the seats of power. They wanted to be down kind of by the palaces where the action was happening. So they put in kind of an outpost for their embassy called a legation, and it was in the second story of Berry Brothers and Rudd's spirit shop. So now, cool. Berry Brothers and Rudd has been around since the late 1600s. Correct with that?
1698.
1698. And so, but they do all the spirits for the Queen and the Prince, and as well as the wine. But so they've been doing this for a very long time, and so to kind of have that validation of that particular company choosing us to be their partner, even with young whiskey, that was kind of the high point for me.
Very cool. Anything that was just like, oh my God, we jumped the shark. We need to close this door. We do not belong here.
Oh, for
Mash
me,
tank.
Yeah, mash tank. Yeah. As we were getting started, a company will not be named.
Call it Voldemort.
Voldemort.
Voldemort Inc. Installed.
Crushed our mash tank not once but twice.
Oh my gosh!
Before we were even able to get started. So that was a pretty big blow.
Just during the install?
During the install, just twice. And so it delayed it. We were supposed to open up like in April, May, and we didn't end up distilling until August, which for us means we lost an entire distilling season. Yeah. Because summer is when most of our aging really occurs, and we really lost basically an entire year, which for business plans and stuff like that, can be pretty devastating. So that was a pretty low point. We've had some equipment stuff happen. We had our boiler go out on us, which again, when the entire core of the boiler has to be replaced.
It's costly.
Yeah, costly, and just, delay, get shut down for a little bit. So Those are totally the two biggest moments.
How do you guys feel about dealing with distributors? Like, as far as it's a lot, right? It's your business, it's your life. It's not just you don't have this job. For you guys, man, it's a legacy, it's a generation, and while you're super active in the North Texas market, to see you all the time, there's certain markets where just all this sort of tradition and things and all these stories just you're kind of relying on someone else to tell that.
I handle a lot of the distribution, and distribution is one of the most difficult things in our industry. For us, we have to be. There is no self-distribution in Texas for spirits. Wine and beer can do it, but we don't have that ability, and it's very difficult for the distributors. You have the big distributors, which if you get into, it's great. You've got a lot of ability to get a lot of different places. The problem is that you're in the same portfolio as some really big companies that put a lot of dollars in people's pockets. And if you're a distributor going out there trying to make a sale, are you going to sell someone that you're not going to get anything for? Or you're going to sell someone that you're going to get an incentive for. And it's a lot of times the smaller companies like us, I don't have the money to give big incentive packages to reps. So again, even if they know our story, a lot of times they're not incentivized to go and tell that story. So a lot of times, vast majority of areas where I'm not going out personally doing the selling, no one will hear about us because the reps, they've got 800 products in their portfolio. Even if they did a different one every day of the year, it'd take them 2 years to get through it. And it's tough, even if I go and try to sign up to do a ride along, because in Texas it's also illegal for me without my distributor to go and speak to a restaurant or a new account.
Really?
So I'm not allowed to do that. So really, the way the law is prevents me from going and selling myself. I can only go to places that already had carried my product, and so the laws are extremely prohibitive.
So you're actually coming to see me and Manny because you're our friends?
Right. Well, you already carry, and our product's on your back bar. Yeah. And our product's on your back bar, so I can actually go see you.
It makes me feel better.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I can't technically go and sell you new product or show you new product without.
That's crazy.
So yeah, when I come, it is because I just want to eat your food.
That's good. That's good. That's good. That's insane though. So how do you guys counteract that? What's your, you've done some projects with some breweries. Mm-hmm. You obviously, have a presence at your tap room. You're so limited to get involved with.
Basically, we have to do tastings at liquor stores, and then just through friends in industry, you hope that people recommend you or talk about it, or you get someone to put you on a menu, and then that. Honestly, that makes all the difference in the world is hitting that. As once you're on the menu, that actually when we product, people actually see your product, and that, getting people to taste the product is the only way for us to win. Because again,
they can come to us. We just can't go.
We can't go to them. Yeah, and it's a very prohibitive and very difficult to do that. So it's tough, to say the least on that end. But it's the way that the laws are written and how they're done, and. Hopefully that we get some change, because I think if a distillery like us could go out and actually approach new accounts and stuff like that, I think it would be helpful to a small business, and it would help the distributor, because then they don't have to spend their manpower selling smaller brands. They can let the brands sell themselves and then take care of the bigger guys. So
cool. Well, you guys have another project with 903 coming up?
Yes.
Y'all have something of theirs in your barrels now?
We do not.
Not yet.
So we have not distilled anything from 903 yet. Again, those talks are always ongoing. We've done some with Tups. We've distilled some stuff from Tups, which is one of their mash bills, which is really exciting. And it's, about 8 to 10 months old right now, or is it almost a year now?
I think it's about a year.
I feel like, you guys have had it in there for a while, right?
It's really starting to develop right now, and last time we checked on it was really, really becoming something cool that I think it's going to be a fantastic project, honestly.
What was the beer that you guys distilled from them?
They're Texas Shade.
Yeah.
It was their okay. There's like
So that's the wheat. So it's a barley and wheat mash bill, which is kind of cool for us because it's like a if you think of like a blended Scotch, it's going to have a grain whiskey and then malted barley. This is the same sort of thing, except all done at once together. And so it's really a cool product. It's still it's a lot like single malt. I would say it's a lot like it, but it's not quite. It's a little bit different because it's got a little bit of like kind of American whiskey influence into it.
It's definitely got some wheated bourbon characteristics to it.
So it's a really unique, really fun product that, again, hopefully in the not too distant future we'll be getting that ready. So because it's really coming together. I'm really enjoying that one.
903 has been nice enough to let us come down and use their system to make our own single malt and things like that. But
so our basic collaboration with them is again helping us brew our single malt so far. So they brew it, we get the wort, and then we bring it here, add the yeast, and ferment it here.
And we've sent some barrels that way.
So. Yeah, Jeremy let us taste in one of his Sasquatch from you guys' first open barrels. It was awesome. It was so good.
Everybody likes their own juice, but I really like that one.
Yeah, it was good, man.
That one turned out fantastic. Like I'd say of each one of the collaborations we've done, that one I still remember when you guys were tasting the individual barrels, and you had one that just pulled a lot of coconut out of the oak, another one that pulled a lot of chocolate, another one which is whiskey boozy.
Yeah.
And then the three together just turned into a really magnificent
it was
beer.
a great beer. One of my favorite beers of all time, for sure. Like, that is cracked to the top 5 easily.
Yeah, we'll take that.
Yeah, man, it was great. I've had a lot of beer.
Yeah.
It was all the barrel.
It was all the barrel. Totally all the barrel. Well, very cool. Well, and hopefully, hopefully you guys will get a chance to make that again, because I want to have that again. And Jeremy said there was only 3 bottles left. And he gave me one, and he's got one, and
I think we
drink one.
I've got 2 at home.
You got 2?
Yeah.
I knew
There you
there was some somewhere.
There you go.
But Jeremy knows where it's at, and it'll end up in the cooler. I'm telling you.
It'll end up in the cooler. That's awesome. That's fantastic. Well, awesome. Well, cheers, Jonathan, Robert. Thank you for your time, man. Love you guys' products. We definitely support you guys down at Harvest as much as we possibly can. On the menu, on the back bar, and in any way, shape, or form. And thank you guys for always supporting us and all our nonprofit endeavors, and always being there to support the Seed Project Foundation and everything we do there, even rushing a case of whiskey out to the morning of the gala while you're on your way out of town and coming in from Houston. So you mentioned earlier we do a lot of chefs and farmers kinds of meetups, and chefs and distillers and farmers and distillers and all that kind of stuff. And it's really great to see that hub kind of form and go and create. So anyways, cheers. Thanks, Ironroot. Cheers.
Littles left.
Empty glass.
Empty glasses.